What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. I'm very excited. We have a very cool guest joining us from Hawaii. So I'm jealous of her right now. She's an international bestselling author, speaker, and the founder of the 111 Healers Conference and the School of Inspired Life. Please welcome Lira Kay. Lira, thank you for joining us today. Can you please tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Hello, super excited to be here with you. So I am doing behind the scenes work with a lot of celebrities and elite leaders of this world, and working with them on existential crisis. And another big part of my business is to train other psychotherapists and coaches to work at the very high level and sell their work at the six-figure price point.
That has to be very interesting work to work with people that have a bigger name, and to see them going through some kind of crisis, which a lot of people probably don't think that they really go through. They kind of hold them on a pedestal, or and for you get to kind of do like real life stuff with them. What is that like for you?
In the strangest way, this is very normal because I grew up in a family with a famous artist father who was a public figure, went through a lot of turmoil in his life, and obviously went through this whole ups and downs of being a celebrity and how people worship you and what happens in the midst of that and the relationship problems. I think I'm the oldest out of 8 kids.
Oh, wow.
Out there somewhere, and many marriages that he had, and all sorts of relationships, and kind of being in the midst of that, I never had a kind of sort of idea that this must be something on a pedestal out there. It's just life.
Yeah.
And since I've been always kind of his supporter and helping him, and became a psychotherapist in a way because I just wanted to be even better at kind of solving that. At that time I was interested in midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And of course it just helps to support somebody like that, but then it's naturally became my work.
Yeah, I love that. So what's the difference between someone that is in the limelight going through a crisis versus someone like, let's just say me, who's just normal every day, that doesn't have a big name, that would go through a crisis? You think that there are differences between those two?
Well, the biggest difference that your crisis is happening on public. So
Yeah.
everybody is looking at it. That's all. So you might not have enough space to be with yourself and act upon what you want. So that's the big thing. It's the big thing. And also with a lot of public sort of announcements and things that could happen, then it affects your career, it affects everything. So you're much more careful about changing things, while
Yeah.
I think the typical normal person is just, well, I can just leave, I can do whatever I want. So there's a certain pressure on celebrities, I think, to be public, to be role models.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
right now the big thing right now I'm working with is cancel culture. It's like everybody, like people get canceled every day, like it's not even funny. So I'm finding that being a celebrity right now is so much harder because you really must watch yourself, what you say, what you've done. And because we're all human, and of course I have a lot of compassion for any human, but for human in public and somebody who is even trying to lead or trying to sort of do something for others, I think it's just so amazing, and I think we should support them, but but that's the difficulty because they are on the spotlight and everything is public and they have to deliver, they have that kind of social responsibility to act decent. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And what is decent, right? So we don't know, especially now when it's like so divisive and everything is, you're always in danger of instigating something if you
for sure. Well, social media, everybody's got a camera on their phone, so if someone catches you like not at your best, at a weak moment, and they can post that everywhere and then it goes viral, it's like, that's it, you're done.
That's it, you're done. Yeah.
So it's very important, I think, that to really be able to be in control of your emotions from before you hit the spotlight, like breathe through it. So when you're working with somebody, what does that look like to help get to the root problem?
In my case, I've developed a very sort of stellar system to diagnose things very fast. I love psychoanalysis. I know it's kind of 100 years ago, but it still works in the sense that we understand that a lot of our problems and issues stem from our childhood. And not just from childhood, but specifically from our parents, or maybe even grandparents. There's a lot of generational trauma, generational problems and patterns that we inherit, and we just run. And of course, now, as we know about neuroscience, that's great, because now we know, okay, you don't really have to be stuck with that. You can change that. And just naturally, I work a lot with addictions. I think it's just one of those things that kind of goes with very creative, sort of, free-spirited people. So it doesn't have to be, but unfortunately, that's the pattern I see. So, with addiction, so I see, okay, we have to go and we have to really retrain not just our brain, but we have to retrain our body to act differently, respond differently to the triggers, to the whatever's happening out there. And if you're a celebrity, or it doesn't even matter if you're a celebrity, if you're just a high achieving person, let's say somebody who does something in life, so there's going to be a lot of triggers. It's not going to be a simple, easy, nice little life where you can just hold yourself, hold your cool, like cool. No, you're going to be all the time bombarded and invited into games and dramas and react certain way. You are expected to be interesting about that, and then it becomes a habit. And then at some point, you might want to retrain, or you might want to understand where's your public persona, what's your private life, because in your relationships, in your own family, that's not going to go so well. So this is kind of a part of the work I do. And one of the sort of tools I invented myself, I call it fast track psychoanalysis. It takes me about 5 minutes to pretty much talk about your, ask you a few questions and just diagnose very accurately what is it that we have to work on for you to change pretty much everything in your life. Because I like to just understanding this one little thing, tweak it. It's not about this whole big long-term 10-year therapy process. It's about just understanding what connects to what. For example, addictions connect often to very, very early childhood, relationship with your mother. And just if you go there, you can really, really help somebody very quickly.
Wow, that's fascinating. I've always been interested in psychology. I used to study it a lot because I actually grew up in a very in an abusive home. My father was a deadbeat dad. He was very abusive towards my mother and towards myself. And so in order for me to break those patterns, I've had to go through a lot of counseling. I did quite a few drugs early on, and I just didn't want to get into that, like, I'm gonna end up dead somewhere on the side of the road or something like that. So I just got very interested in how the brain works and how I react to certain things, what my triggers are. I still notice even today but I'm aware there are certain things that happen that trigger some of that, like that anxiety or that but being aware of it is really half the battle that helps me work through it, feel it, let it go and move on. So but I'm very fascinated by what you do. But you do a lot. Can you tell us about the Healers Conference and the School of Inspired Life?
All right. So those are my sort of organic projects that came out of work already, as I've been doing work since 17 years old. So it's been 3 decades now. And at some point in the middle of that, I was asked, hey, can you teach me what you do? Because can you teach your skills?
Yeah.
And a lot of people call me psychic. So I definitely say I'm not a psychic. I don't know. I don't even know what that really is like out there. But I think it looks like it is when you can really accurately diagnose stuff, right? It's for other people, it looks like, oh my gosh. So I thought, or maybe it's like a mentalist like skills, of being very present. And of course, being courageous enough to say what you see, right? Because that is part of a process, is to be truthful and just give that feedback to people. That's pretty much almost what can change everything for people. It's just that feedback, because we have blind spots, all of us, me too. For myself, I have to have a lot of people I work with to get there and indulge, right, in healing. So as I was asked to teach those skills, and then can you certify me? So I waited like 2 years just being asked. And then at some point I was like, okay, let's do this. So I created School of Inspired Life, pretty much a training center. And I help people to launch their own academies, school certifications, because I'm not just interested in teaching my skills.
Yeah.
I think everybody could have their own process. In 30 years of doing the work, I see everybody has gifts and have skills, skills if they're aware of that. And my job is pretty much to show you how you do it in your life. And yes, you can do it professionally. So I can just help you to put it in a process. I can help you to put it in context of business, and of course become one of those elite mentors or coaches, comparing to maybe going the mainstream way of going to sort of, what are they, coaching certifications or psychology degrees and stuff like that, and I work with a very advanced psychologist already. It's just the next level. How can you speed it all up? How can you be super effective, original? If you want to really stand out, launch your own big thing, if you're interested in that. And kind of, so that's became part of my business. And then 111 Heals Conference is my passion project. I had a kind of my own calling a few years back. It was this kind of political situation where I've personally felt like, whoa, we have to really start taking care of our own health. We can't expect everybody always take care of us. And then I was like, well, what about promoting other therapists and coaches? What about making a conference where healers, coaches, therapists can just come and share their skills?
Yeah.
So, and I just organized a lot of, I'm in touch with a lot of professionals out there, so I got them in. And at the beginning, I just presented my own clientele, my own students. But then afterwards, I was like, well, everybody comes. And so for a couple of years, it's been a public project and very popular. People just come and share from the heart. This is what I do. This is how I do it. I like everything being practical. So people, anybody public can take it, watch it. It's a video, typically in a video format in a group. And it's been going, it's been running, and I'm very happy about that. It's my passion project. It's something I like doing.
Well, congrats. Support for Label Free Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Now, ladies, you can use this too. We're all inclusive here. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. And now we're going to have the ladies too, because come on, ladies, let's be real. We have an exclusive offer for my listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code labelfree20 at manscaped.com. So thank you, Manscaped, for your support. And everybody is welcome to purchase with my code. Well, congratulations. You are definitely type A. You like to do a lot, don't you? I mean, so you've written a lot of books too. How many books have you written?
I've written 3 books. I also published a book with a publisher at some point. But the kind of book that I'm not specifically, it was kind of very interesting, very commercial project, I would say. So I can't say I enjoyed it as much as self-publishing. So I published my own 3 books. And one it's called Now or Never, what is it? I forgot even what they called. Now or Never something. How to get what you want every time you say I wish. Okay, it was about getting what you want, very A-type stuff, right? Okay. It was about working with your brain and very practical stuff. Second book I wrote was based kind of on my own journey. It's called I Belong, The Journey from Lost to Found. And it's about a spiritual journey. I was born a very sensitive child, very intuitive. In my own sort of spiritual world, felt so energy, very strange. Had a lot of spiritual experiences. Of course, as I went to study psychotherapy, I found out about Carl Gustav Jung and all collective subconsciousness and all of that stuff. It's like, that's what I was tapping into always. And that's why I love psychoanalysis, because it's just perfect for me. Yes. But I also felt that I didn't belong. I wasn't fitting in. I was a big bookworm. In my own stuff, like super, super nerdy.
It's okay though. Nerds are cool because I'm a
Of
total
course, of course. Look at us now, right?
nerd. I used
But
to
at
live
the
at the
time,
library.
but at the time, I was a kid who was like, "What are they all so happy about?
Yeah.
This life is like this. This space is dark, like this." Oh, because I'm very compassionate. I always felt people's pain, and I could see the purpose. I mean, I was a weird kid, and so I felt like I didn't belong, and a lot of my even adult life was about just trying to prove that I'm here, like I can do
Yeah.
this, I can be in this world, and I can find myself successful in this world. Well, you know, so the story of in that book is kind of my journey, but what I discovered that I always belonged.
Yeah.
I just had to take my space as a healer, as a teacher, not to try to be just like everybody else, but just do my work. And just, you know, some people I feel like have a mission to do something, and I'm not saying it's a big mission. It doesn't matter whether I just do it with my own family, I have a big family, or with you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people I worked with. To me, it's all the same. I'm always showing up as a teacher and as a healer. And as I kind of realized that, I felt, oh, now I belong. I found my place. So that's my second book. And the third book is, of course, after working with people, and especially when I seriously started working with the kind of elite clientele, I wrote a book about addictions, quitting addictions. That's called Release 20 Pounds of Pain.
Yeah.
So that book, it's called Practical Tools to Quit Addictions. So that book has been recommended and endorsed by many celebrities, many people, because of just what it does. It's a process that I dialed in. This is what you need. Those are the specific little steps. This is not, you know, I mean, I love 12 steps, classic 12 steps, but that's kind of got nothing to do with that. It's more psychological. It's about processing the pain, because release 20 pounds of pain, because this is just another day. One of my clients wrote back to me, Lira, I released 1,000 pounds of pain because that's how much I had. Yeah, thank you. You know, so that book just is, it's kind of a shortcut to just getting it out of your system, out of your body, so you can start again, find your second breath, go for it. Like, you don't have to carry this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, from people that I've known in the past that are addicted, they typically are self-medicating, you know, because they are trying to put the Band-Aid on the pain, not have to deal with it, not deal with the reality and face it. You know, you can only run for so long before you overdose, die, or, you know, you get in trouble or something like that. So that sounds like an amazing book, and I might have to recommend that to some people. They might not like it, but
it's very kind, very compassionate, but straightforward, and it's very practical. You just do the thing, and once you got that's how you actually heal. This is what therapy looks like.
Yeah.
Those are the very important things, like validating yourself, like not, you know, facing reality, all of those things. It works. So yeah, definitely highly recommend.
I love it. So what's next for you? I mean, you've done so much already, and I feel like you're not slowing down for anything.
Right now, what am I doing right now? I am definitely in the middle of creating my own second breath. It's interesting, partially why I ended up in Hawaii was because I reached my own kind of point of, as you mentioned, you know, being A-type. I reached to the point where, you know what, I proved myself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so strange to admit that, you know, I'm going to be 50 in a couple of days, that it took me that long to really understand that a lot of the work I did, even though like for other people, it seems very spiritual, very beautiful work on being on a mission and everything. But for myself, there's something I discovered when, you know, one of my clients achieved like huge success. And we were celebrating. And then I was like, after that celebration, I just sat, I remember, and thinking, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, why would I say that?
Yeah.
Why would I say that? How is it that I'm done? And of course, I love totally examining all the movements of my soul. I'm like, what is going on there? And then I realized that all this time, part of me, at least in business, was really hoping to be, you know, to prove myself that I'm enough, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough. It's so strange.
That's a type A for
And
you.
then I
I'm
was
still
like,
there. I'm type A. I'm still there. I'm still trying to
yeah,
prove myself.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
literally, I was like sitting there, you know, chickens in Hawaii, you know, you get the chickens screaming, and I was like, this is me, like almost 50 years old, you know, reaching my point of, you know, I'm good enough.
Aw.
And I went through my own sort of personal crisis where I was like, what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
And because I have, you know, because I can afford it, I think I would say that,
Mhm.
I went deep into my own sort of my own psyche, what's going on, and I gave myself time to rediscover the passion.
Yeah.
Because with that, I'm good enough. I also felt I don't want to do work anymore. Like I'm done. And it was such a strange thing because I've built up my business, I've built up myself and everything like around to just now go for it. And then suddenly I had like zero motivation to do it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to lay on the beach and like do nothing. So I was like, what is this thing? And so this is where the concept of find your second breath came out.
Okay.
So this is, so I basically now indulging in this idea of how do you really recreate that yourself, passion, new fire under your wings?
Yeah.
Where do you find it? I started looking at aging. I found out a lot of amazing things that I'm now teaching as well. And it's just great. Like, I mean, so I've definitely found my second breath. And of course, my clientele, I mean, it's always the same. They're very excited about that because I kind of brought in the new angle on makeovers, on, you know, trying again, starting again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
rising from the ashes, yes, the
Yeah.
phoenix. I should really put phoenix somewhere.
Yeah.
One of my daughters made a tattoo with a phoenix on her.
Yeah.
On her back on
I
her
love the
neck.
concept. If you feel like you've been beaten, there's always like the second breath, you know, you can rise from the ashes and be reborn again. So, you know,
Yeah,
like that's
reborn.
something.
Yes, being reborn again. Yeah. So that is kind of, it fascinates me. It's always did because working with crisis, it's always that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that is that's basically where I'm going right now.
I love it. Where can people find you, reach out to you, support you, find your books, all that good stuff?
All the good stuff. Sorry. The best way is to go to my website, lirakay.com.
Okay.
Lirakay.com. And another one, if you're interested in learning, in going into any of the programs, becoming a student, then go to schoolofinspiredlife.com. So that's all programs are there. And private work is in lirakay.com.
Perfect. I will put all those links in the show notes, you guys. So if you resonated with anything Lira shared with us today, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let's see what she's got to offer. Go check out one of her books because they sound amazing. I might have to go get one myself. Before we say goodbye, I always like, oh, first, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I wish you a happy birthday. Before we say goodbye, any last words of wisdom or advice you'd like to leave with the audience?
Yeah, as I started talking about find your second breath, I was like, okay, so this is something that I've discovered and I hope it's going to be useful for you too. So when you are in the existential crisis or experiencing identity crisis or whatever, you're like, what am I? I propose not to ditch everything, even though that sounds like, oh, I just want to leave everything behind and just want to start again.
Yeah.
What I say, build up upon what you've got. Don't build up upon the ruins. Don't disregard everything you've done.
Yeah.
You've worked hard. So celebrate it. Gives me chills. Give yourself gratitude. I'm so not into this whole gratitude thing, but actually in this case, I would say, yes, celebrate yourself. Say thank you to yourself. You've done it. You've achieved. Build upon that. Your next stage in life is not about starting again, being a newbie, running around like with, you know, anxious about, where am I going? Yeah. You've always been on your path.
Yeah.
You're just continuing your path, but it now has a new perspective, second breath.
I love that. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Lira Kay. So I'm excited to see what you do next. So please keep us posted on anything, that next book that you come out with, or the next project, or whatever. We'll be here looking to see what's coming for you. So thanks again for sharing with us everything that you've done. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Bradalescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to comment, share, review, rate, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.